So who in their right mind would not be elated that somebody has replaced Nancy Pelosi as the Speaker of the House of Representatives? Well, the answer to that question can be found at motherjones.com. That in itself should tell you something, but this writer seems to be a little bit upset with Mike Johnson, who, as you know, is the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives, who ultimately replaced Nancy Pelosi. And what is his beef? Well, he's got a scoop. And the writer says, or the headline says, that Mike Johnson urged a religious test for politicians. And then we scroll down and we see this. After he complains about the Christian fundamentalist beliefs of the Speaker of the House, he says, one more significant thing I've discovered is that Johnson appears to believe in a religious litmus test for politicians. Well, he says Johnson appears to believe, but the headline says he urged a religious test. So which one is it? Is it appearance or is it a matter of fact? I don't know. So the writer goes on and he says, this weekend I broke the news that Johnson and his wife Kelly, a self-described Christian counselor, a few years ago created a seminar that promoted the premise that the United States has been a Christian nation. That is to say that America was founded as a Christian nation. Now, if you go back to the founding of the United States, 1776, virtually everybody was a Christian of one kind or another, every citizen. Indians, most of them were not, but the citizens, nearly all were Christians. Slaves were largely Christians. Probably all of them were Christians. Who was not a Christian in 1776 in the United States? The newly formed United States, or the colonies during the colonial era? The answer is virtually nobody. I mean, yeah, there were a few Jewish people who played a role in the founding of the country, but if you go to the Continental Congress, they were all Christians. Go to any village, anywhere, any city, any town, everybody's a Christian of some sort or some kind. And many of the colonies, in the founding colonial era, founding era of the country, they actually had laws that mandated church attendance. So yeah, America was, I'm not saying it was founded as a Christian nation. It was just Christian by default. Or as I like to say, it was Christian as it was founded. Everybody was a Christian. So if you want to go back to the origins of the country to be like it was when it was founded, what you would discover is the United States was populated with Bible-thumping, whiskey-drinking church people. That's who we were, or that's who they were. There were a few million of us long before I was born, obviously. Some of you may argue with that. But, all right, so Johnson's wife seems to have a worldview that includes creationism, believing the earth was created by God in 6 days, 6,000 years ago, and denial of evolution. If you want to believe that, that's up to you, because everyone has, in my opinion, everyone has some kind of I don't want to call it religion, but they have an ideology. They have some notion of what the world really is, what reality really is. Take leftists, for example. The woke movement, in my mind, that is kind of like a surrogate religion, and that they believe some really weird things. You know, they believe that what psychologists call magical thinking. Magical thinking is, for example, if you do a dance, you can cause it to rain. That's a rain dance. So magical thinking is by doing something, you can cause something that has no relation whatsoever. Now, people who decidedly are not religious would say that prayer is magical thinking, or prayer and fasting is magical thinking, because you think by saying these words to somebody that they say doesn't exist, to make something happen, that's magical thinking. Well, what about the woke religious movement? Do they do the same thing? Yeah. What they think is, okay, let me put it in this context. I read an article, actually it was a YouTube video, sorry. I was listening to a YouTube video a while back, and the speaker noted that we're trying to explain why the ice caps didn't melt. And her reasoning was because we stopped using aerosol cans. So all this hocus pocus about the ice caps going to melt in 12 years, you know, they say that every year. They say in 12 years they always kick the can down the road. And she was taking the apologist movement for the climate change people. Explanation was the ice caps didn't melt because we stopped using aerosol cans. Good job, people. Let's keep it up. That's magical thinking. If you stop using aerosol cans, you're going to prevent the climate from changing. Or if you, what else? If you use electric cars, you know, EVs, electric vehicles, that somehow is going to save the planet. It's going to stop climate change, even though they're all fueled by coal. It's magical thinking. So the point is, these people attack Christian fundamentalists for believing things like God, a super spirit, in 6 days, 6,000 years ago, spoke the universe into existence. And they say that's silly. But these same people think that by using an aerosol can, you can poke a hole in the ozone layer. I'm sorry, but I fail to see the difference. They have these moonbat, nonsensical religious views that do not align with reality. And one of those religious views is that there is a spectrum of genders, a spectrum of sexes. Everybody knows, science understands there are two sexes, male and female. That's it. That is it. There are no others. But they believe there's a spectrum. They believe that you can transition from one sex to another. If you want to, that's kind of like saying you can convert an elephant to a reindeer by cutting off its trunk and stapling antlers to its head. There, it's reindeer. That's very closely akin to magical thinking. So why in the world would these people make fun or belittle somebody for believing that a super spirit created the universe by a spoken word, but then they themselves believe all kinds of nonsense? Aerosol cans will prevent climate change. It will prevent the ice caps from melting. If we throw away our, or if we recycle our plastic bags from Walmart, that's going to heal the hole in the ozone layer. What about acid rain? Remember the big deal about acid rain in the United States government? I think this was under the Reagan era back when. The United States government paid Canada millions of dollars for damages caused by acid rain generated by American industry. And then what happened a couple months ago, we had, there was a forest fire in Canada. And basically polluted everything south of Canada, particularly the northern states. Did Canada send us millions of dollars? Well, the acid rain, I think that's totally bogus. But the smoke from the forest fires, that was not bogus. But the point of all this is, okay, so the Johnsons have what he calls diehard fundamentalist beliefs. And he says every other brand of Christianity disagrees with him. There are multiple, what he calls brands of Christianity, and they all disagree with each other. You take 10 Christians of various types, you know, you could take a Methodist, a Baptist, a Lutheran, a Pentecostal, put them in a room together, and the only thing they agree on is they don't agree on anything. And then if you expand it, you put a Christian, a Mormon, a Jehovah's Witness, you put them in a room together, and what they will agree on is they don't agree on anything. So the fact that Johnson happens to subscribe to this particular fundamentalist brand of Christianity, so what? I mean, virtually every Christian does that. Virtually every religious person has his little niche that he or she believes in. Give this video a thumbs up if you like what you hear. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll see you all next time.